What is up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of the Art of Human podcast, Season 2. Today, I have the pleasure of presenting you a podcast with my best friend, Osvaldo Peralta. If you're going to watch the video version of this on YouTube, I'm going to put a few short snippets of bloopers. The creation of this podcast was actually fairly tedious. The recording stopped and we had to restart. So still have some technical difficulties going on, but we were able to record a full podcast for you guys, only about 30 minutes long. So if you do watch the video, you'll kind of get that, maybe some laughs from the bloopers. But otherwise, guys, I really hope you enjoy this podcast, and I look forward to just interacting more with you guys, the audience of the Art of Human. And if you don't follow the Instagram page, it's at TAOH podcast. Please follow the page, and so we can have a more interactive experience. If you want to be on the podcast, you can DM me. For those people who have been following the podcast, thank you so much for keeping up with the content. I really hope that it brings value for you guys, because really that's what it's for, is to bring value for you guys. So if you guys have any suggestions, anything of that sort, please feel free to just contact me. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback. And for those who it might be your first time tuning in, welcome to the Art of Human podcast. I'm your host, Sapien, and virtual hug. Hope you enjoy. I'm looking at you right now, and you look like a human. You look like a Homo sapien. Ow. You feel like one too. So can you tell us about that situation and how you were able to overcome it?
Yeah.
My God, you can talk about your fucked up ankle. Sorry, folks. Me and Ozzy know each other too well, so. Just kidding. We can get back. It's kind of hard to be on some real shit right now. I was just looking at you saying some real shit, and I kind of felt like laughing. Just because we both just been not serious at all this whole time, and then now we're trying to be serious. Well, we shouldn't be serious, but obviously at certain points, talking about this, it can get passionate. All right, folks, this is episode number 1 of The Art of Human, Season 2.
Take 14.
Take 14. On some real shit, guys, Osvaldo Peralta is my best friend. We've been friends. I'd say we became best friends probably back in 2012, 2013. Probably 2013. Ozzy lived about a quarter mile away from me. And so we would meet up to go run, and we would train together for cross country and track. And then here you can find us 8 years later recording a podcast together. Now, just a fun fact, Ozzy was actually pretty much the first one on these mics with me. It just so happens that he hasn't actually been on a podcast that has been released to you guys. But anyways, without further ado, that's a little bit more context for you guys regarding who Ozzy is. Ozzy, my first question on this podcast is, what makes you happy?
It's a real tough question, Christian. Not joking around. I know we've already kind of gone through this a few times due to technical difficulties, but essentially, there's a lot of elements that goes into my happiness, and I don't know. What do you wanna hear?
What you have on mind?
Well, I guess a few things that make me happy are my family, my friends, my fiancé, the three F's, right? And then ultimately, I think myself.
Could you elaborate on that third point? Because I think friends, family, fiance, maybe many people can be like, yeah, those things make me happy too. But when you say that you yourself makes you happy, to hear more about that, that would be very nice.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've definitely had moments where I've had things, and I've had my family and friends around me, and I haven't been happy. And I make myself happy because I think I've learned to appreciate what I have in my life. Um, it's not always a good day, but it doesn't mean that I can't be happy, right? Um, Thinking about how blessed I am to be in the position that I'm in, to have the opportunities that I've had, to be around the people that I'm around. Um, I'm really quite blessed. And sometimes I think I forget about those things. Um, so when I say I make myself happy, it's really just me reminding myself of all the things that I really have in my life.
That's wonderful, and that's cool that you say that, because me too, at this point in my life, the thing that's actually bringing me the most happiness is actually just being grateful for the things around me. Similar to you, family, friends. And I would also probably have a similar answer. I do say that I make myself very happy because, I'm the one that goes ahead and writes in my journal about what I'm grateful for. I'm actually curious to know as to, like, because you say you have appreciation for all these things and sometimes you lose track of that. Is there a particular thing that you do in order to, like, stay consciously grateful, right? Because like you said, you can easily let that slip out of our fingers. You can say that you're grateful and you say that you appreciate it, but then a week later you're screaming at your girlfriend and you're upset and you're maybe disrespecting your mom. I mean, what is it? Is there a specific routine that you go through? Is there, like, while you're driving you just say thank you and you retrospect on that, or what is it?
Uh, I don't think there's any one particular thing. At the moment, my life is pretty chaotic, I would say. So I don't really have like a routine where I journal every day or any real techniques. I have been looking into getting something like that, but at the moment I don't have anything like that. One thing that I have done is written stuff that written things down that are important to me in my journal, and I basically just carry around this journal. I don't write in it every day. I actually hardly ever write in it, but in times of stress or um, times when I'm feeling down, I definitely take a look at that journal and kind of take a look at what I've written down, and just kind of remind myself that that the only things that are important are those things that I've written down, and everything else can go down the drain, and as long as I have those things, I will be okay. And yeah, I mean, God forbid I ever lose one of those things. Um, I think perseverance is important, and you kind of have to take life um, all in a way of appreciation, right? And everything you go through is just building character.
Hmm. I agree with you, and I would have to ask. Um, I would have to ask. Yes, this is what was on my mind. You know, the conversation that we're having right now, we're talking about gratitude, and you just so happen to say that if everything went down the drain, so long as you had your family, friends, fiance, that in reality, you'd be okay because you had the things in your life that truly mattered. And then you said, God forbid that one day any of them go away or happen to die. Would you happen to have faith in something bigger than yourself, whether it be God or maybe some type of other religion or philosophy or some type of spiritual connection that allows you to feel peace or find peace within chaotic moments? Or is there anything that you pray to? Is there any type of faith that in a way kind of empowers you to see past difficulties that are right in your face? If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. But to be completely honest, no, I don't really believe in anything. And yeah, I don't really have that kind of what would you call it? Religion? Um,
I think faith, just the term faith. I mean, I think the idea of faith is just really just believing in something which maybe can't be seen but can be felt.
I no, I don't really believe in in like a higher power, but it's funny because I will actually I've noticed that in hard times I'll talk to myself um, and figure stuff out. I do believe strongly in the people around me, um, that they will pull through whatever is happening, and I will pull through whatever is happening, and everything's gonna be okay. And I have that real strong optimistic outlook. Even when I have those bad days and I'm really not optimistic, I feel like deep down inside I do believe that things will turn out okay. Um, I may say some cynical things at points, but I know that the people that are around me really give me a lot of strength to continue doing what I'm doing every day and push through whatever my goals are. And I hope that I'm there for my loved ones as well.
So would you say that your faith, if you were to have a faith, it would have to be based upon yourself, just having faith in your own ability, and then having faith in the people that you love around you? And because you're saying that in spite of the difficulties that may be happening to you or your loved ones, you believe that everything will be okay. I mean, where does that kind of belief, where was that instilled inside of you? Do you think your parents just kind of instilled with you that type of positivity through their love, their affection that they showed you as a child, and it just kind of gave you that confidence to know that in difficult moments things are okay because maybe your parents kind of reassured you that things would be okay, so now you have that kind of belief inside of you that things will be okay? Or where do you think that stems from?
Yeah, I mean, my background pretty well, but just for anyone that's listening, I didn't really grow up in a religious environment. It was in my surroundings, but I was never really um, placed into any specific belief. I was around my family that was Catholic and my family that was Christian, and yeah, I never really fell into either one of those two. I think it opened up my mind to, you know, be accepting of a lot of things, because I mean, you know, I love, you know, both of those sides of my family, and I couldn't really pick one, and then I kind of came to the realization that it doesn't really matter what they believe in. It's just, you know, it's just what they feel comfortable believing in. It's what keeps them happy, I would say. I know, you know, religion is an important thing to a lot of people, and I wouldn't disrespect that in in
Anyway.
yeah, basically.
Hmm.
But sorry, what was the original question?
I just kind of made up a new question in my mind. I was gonna say that something that's always intrigued me about you, which for the listeners, again, this is my best friend, and I've known for close to 10 years or so, has been your kind of emotional stability. I think I think that's probably one of the reasons that we've become close friends, is because you're such a calm character. You know, we laugh at each other's stuff, but ultimately you've always kind of had that calm personality where, like, you know, whenever you're around somebody who has a certain personality, you feel that energy, right? So in the case with you, it's like you hang out with Ozzy and you feel like this calmness, this kind of just positive, calm energy, this just like very peaceful person, non-judgmental, just a very, just like, you just feel relaxed. Like you can have this guy in the room and you can just take a nap on the bed and just relax and feel completely safe, satisfied, and just, you know, it's kind of one of those energies where it's just a very calming energy. Do you feel like, do you know where that kind of came from? Do you think that stemmed from your family? Do you think, you know, is there some type of routine or something that you do to kind of just have yourself be so calm, cool, collective all the time? Or where does that come from? And like, you know, where do you attribute that kind of characteristic to? Because I think, and the reason I bring this up is because, you know, I think it's really important to have emotional stability and to be able to be calm, because, you know, I think in life, I think one of the biggest things we can ask for, or we would hope for, is just to have a peace of mind. You know, because a lot of times it's not about the needing more or not having enough. It's just simply about just being calm, happy with what's with you right now. And I feel like in a sense you've kind of been able to actualize that.
I wouldn't say that it's any one particular thing. Just like my happiness, I'm, you know, product of my environment. It's, you know, at times it was my mom. At times it was my dad. Yeah, it was just how I grew up, I think. Um, yeah, I can't really give credit to any one thing, for the reason, you know, that I am the way I am. Um, I remember, uh, you know, my dad, you know, coaching me through things at certain times. Um, you know, I've been around my mom a lot because she was a stay-at-home mother. Yes, it's been been a lot of different things, and yeah, I can't really say that it's meditating or not throwing any jabs at anyone, because I know that's definitely stuff that I want to get into, but
So what you're basically saying is that you were just blessed with this kind of characteristic.
yeah, not really trying to be uh arrogant, I guess. Yeah, it's just kind of like I said, I'm a product of my environment.
Well, I think although that you didn't really name anything in particular, you did name a little bit about your dad. I think me knowing your parents, I think your parents have a lot to do with it, and I think that's usually the case with like most people, or if they don't have parents, whomever they spent the most time with when they were young. You know, because we don't really develop our conscious mind until 3, 4, 5. So it's like you take those first few years of life, you know, you have such a spongy mind, which pretty much absorbs any type of energy that's around it. And when I say energy, I really mean just the type of things that are being said, right? The type of things that are being said, legitimately like energy. Because if someone, you know, as a kid, if you're hugged a lot, if you're, you know, fed breast milk and all those type of things, like legitimately the hormones in your body will change depending on that. Like if you get a lot of hugs and kisses, you know, that definitely influences your body to respond in a particular way. I would probably argue that it was because of your parents, cuz I know your dad has a very similar characteristic to you as being very calm, cool, collective, and I kind of see a lot of that of you inside of you, and I don't think that's by coincidence. I think that probably from a young age you had noticed that that was the way that your dad behaved, and then that's kind of naturally the way that you developed. And maybe there's something within the DNA which makes you more into this style of person. Which, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, I don't want to give the impression to listeners that you're just some dude who's always just resting bitch face and shit. But you definitely have the ability to remain pretty damn calm in pretty much most situations. I know I've told you before that sometimes I question in my head. I'm like what's going through Ozzy's head? Because it's like you're almost either just laughing because we're just talking about dumb stuff, or you're just kind of like chill. And there's only been very few occasions in which I have ever seen you where you looked like something was kind of bugging you, but it's been on very rare occasion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't say that it was just my dad. But yeah, I'd say that my dad has been a big part of it. I do remember a lot of things from him. Um, and yeah, I must have, you know, um, unconsciously just kind of mimicked him, right? Um, I think most people are like that. Um, and yeah, I don't think we really notice how many characteristics we really take from our parents. Um, but like I said, I'm really a product of my environment, and I think everyone else is too. Um, and lots of times we really don't even notice um, how much, how much it affected us. Um, that our parents raised us a certain way, or being around our parents, and them acting a certain way. Um, I really think that we pick up on a lot of stuff, and without realizing it, we kind of grow up to be them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we got right behind you the book, The Genie Within, and it talks all about that. I've mentioned this on the podcast, there was an episode about the subconscious mind. It said, I think an episode called Finding Happiness via the Subconscious Mind. And it pretty much goes along with everything that we're saying. And, what I had just mentioned a couple minutes ago regarding the sensitivity of our subconscious at a younger age, especially before the conscious mind was developed. That's why I kind of like the idea, which I've heard it from multiple people. I've heard Joe Rogan say it, Logic said it, and I'm sure there's a bunch of people who have, maybe not a bunch, but there's been people who have said it. And it's like, as adults, we're pretty much like grown up children. There's a quote by Jim Carrey, except his was a little different. His quote was something like, as adults, as adults, we're like children, but we just have to take upon our responsibilities. But otherwise, we can still be goofballs and have fun like children. That's kind of like a different topic of conversation, but bottom line regarding what we're talking about, I think the main thing we can take away from this is that, like you said, you're a product of your environment. Whether that's legitimately the people around you, whether that's the weather, whether that's the air that you breathe, whether that's the type of channels that were being played while you were just a little kid running around the house, whether it's the music that you listen to, whether it's the podcast that you listen to, whether it's, legitimately anything. Because I'm not trying to throw out, no, actually, you know what? Doesn't matter. The subconscious, I was going to say I don't want to talk about subconscious too much, but it's some real shit. The subconscious, it operates 24/7. So it's like whether you're asleep, awake, meditating, half awake, your subconscious is picking up on legitimately everything around you. So it's like it makes sense that your surroundings have so much influence upon you. Ozzy, it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm extremely tired.
Yeah.
I got one last question for you, and then we'll end the podcast.
All right.
What's your message for listeners, if you can tell them anything regarding the topic of happiness and health?
Well, this is a really tough question. I would say that everyone is different, and you can't really take my view of happiness and necessarily apply it to your life because it may not fit the same way, right? I think everyone has to find their own path to happiness. I think we all definitely forget our blessings at times, and I think remembering them is part of it, but I also think that you have to have a way to deal with the stresses of life, right? You can't just at all times remember what you have, especially if you're a driven person. I think one thing I have to say for myself is I like to set goals, and I like to take responsibility for things. I like to assume full responsibility for a lot of things, and if things don't go my way, I take responsibility for it, and I assume that I can, make the change or make things happen. And sometimes I don't always get there. I'm not saying I always meet my goal, but through failure and through perseverance, I feel like I've become a stronger person that can withstand a lot of downturns and whatever it is that I'm doing. And yeah, it's just putting one foot in front of the other, I think. And there's certain times in my life where I'm happy because of results. There's certain times in my life that um, I'm happy because I remember, what I have. Um, it's a lot of different factors and things that can't really say um, one thing that will work for your listeners, but I think that you just have to keep pushing, right? Um, and I really believe that if you truly want to, and you believe that you can, then you can, right?
All right, folks. You heard it here. Art of Human Podcast. Fellow human Osvaldo Peralta. Peace.